All right. We are live on YouTube and broadcasting. I'm going to begin and call to order the meeting of the Camarillo Airport Authority. Bert, I'll let you call Oxnard. Oh, and everyone's still on mute, so you can unmute yourself.
Hello. I'd like to call to order the meeting, the Oxnard Airport Authority for January 14th.
Everyone can please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
And can we have a moment of silence for people that have recently passed away on this COVID thing, please?
Absolutely. Let's start with a moment of silence for those who have passed due to COVID-19, and then we'll lead into the flag salute. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Can we please have a roll call?
Yes, for Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez.
Yes, I'm here.
Mayor Craven.
I'm here.
Vice Mayor Molche.
Present.
Bill Thomas.
Present.
Michael Hodson.
Present.
Camarillo Airport Authority has a quorum.
May we call the roll call for the Oxnard Airport Authority, please?
Yes. Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez.
I'm here.
Councilmember Perello.
Here.
Walter Calhoun. Eugene Fussell. Eugene Fussell.
Gene, you may be muted.
Who's here?
Eugene Fussell is here. Here.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 3, approval of the minutes for December 10th, 2020.
Move the approval.
And Bill Thomas seconded.
And I got Mr. Thomas seconding. Can we please have a roll call vote?
For Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez.
I'm going to abstain as I wasn't present. Thank you.
Mayor Craven.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Molche.
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously with one abstention.
We have a motion to approve the Oxnard Airport Authority minutes, please.
Long will motion to approve or make the motion.
I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez.
I'll abstain again for the same reason.
Councilmember Perello.
Yes.
Eugene Fussell.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously with one abstention.
All right, we'll get to item number 4, public comment period. Do we have any public comment?
None at this time.
Okay. Seeing that there is no public comment and there is no unfinished business, we'll move to number 6, new business. And for the Camarillo Airport Authority, that is the selection of chairman and vice chairman for the calendar year 2021.
And I would like to, Bill Thomas, I would like to nominate Supervisor Long for chairman.
Are there any other nominations?
Move nominations closed.
Motion to close nominations. Would you like to take a vote? For Supervisor Long as chairman?
Supervisor Long.
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Mayor Craven,
yes,
Vice Mayor Molche,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
yes,
That motion passes unanimously.
And I will open up nominations for vice chairman.
I would like to nominate Bill Thomas for vice chair, please.
move nominations closed,
Okay, I have, Mr. Thomas is nominated for vice chairman, and I have a motion to close nominations. May we please have a vote?
Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Mayor Craven,
yes,
Vice Mayor Molche,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
yes,
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. I'll hand it off to Bert.
Thank you, Sean. The Oxnard Airport Authority is subject to the selection of chairman and vice chairman for the calendar year 2021. Do we have nominations for chairman?
I nominate Bert Perello for chairman.
Great.
I am the chairman right now. Is it,
It has to rotate for supervisor and then a civil community member and then city, I believe, is a rotation. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, that's, and Anna can correct me if that's not correct, but that, yeah, I had a supervisor being in the chair position, the public for the chair and supervisor or county representative for vice chair.
Well, I
So-
nominate Carmen Ramirez.
But I think it has
She-
to be a
that-
public member, right?
yeah, so,
yes.
okay,
So I
so,
think that's you, Eugene.
Yeah, I think so too. I nominate Dr. Fussell for chair.
is Ms. Castro available?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to
there-
explain you want to explain something about that, please?
Yes, I will. This matter of vice chair did present itself in last nomination period for the year 2020. The Oxnard Airport Authority moved to nominate Eugene Fussell as the vice chair at that time. The authority voted, and that motion passed. However, it was later determined after consulting with council to be improper for the fact that Mr. Walter Calhoun is the public member of record and Dr. Fussell is the alternate public member. In order for the individual to hold the chair or vice chair position, they need to also hold the public member position.
So,
So the motion to have Dr. Fussell as the chair of the Oxnard Airport Authority would not be proper.
So then
So-
I would nominate Walter Calhoun, who's not here today, as the chair.
I'll second that, but I would like to make a point of clarification and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Castro. I learned of this, Gene, yesterday, and I learned that there was an actual challenge. And Mr. Calhoun challenged, and that's how this decision was made. And I was unaware of it, but I appreciate Ms. Castro explaining it. And what I've just added, Ms. Castro, is that correct or incorrect?
Mr. Calhoun at that time brought it to the Department of Airport staff attention that he believed the vote to be improper, and that triggered us to consult with county council, who confirmed that it was improper.
Thank you, Ms. Castro.
Thank you for the clarity on that. Appreciate it.
Okay, may we have any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, I make a motion to close the nominations. Do I have a second?
second.
Roll call?
Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
So just to be clear, we're voting for Mr. Calhoun as the chair, correct?
We're closing the nominations first. So then we're
Oh.
going to vote.
Okay, yes.
thank you. Councilmember Peralta,
Yes, yes.
Eugene Fussell.
Yes,
Okay.
That motion
Now
passes unanimously.
we have a vote on Mr. Calhoun as the chair, please.
Oh, I thought that's what we did vote on just now.
No, we voted to close the nominations.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perrello,
Yes.
Eugene Fussell.
yes,
That motion passes unanimously.
I do have a question, if I could, maybe I should ask later, but
Go ahead.
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
just know, how, Mr. Calhoun, who I haven't met yet, looking forward to that, is the public member. We only have one public member and an alternate, is that correct?
Correct.
And how would Dr. Fussell ascend to be the actual public member?
Very good question, Carmen. I don't know.
I think staff can follow up with us or with you later if we don't know that answer now.
It's a fairly complicated thing, and it's all part of the overall bylaws, so
Okay.
it's probably best to take offline.
All right, well, I'll look forward to getting more information.
To share this with you, Carmen, I did find out yesterday they do not have to be a resident of Oxnard, but the individual has a plane at the Oxnard airport.
Is Mr. Calhoun
Mr. Calhoun,
is not a resident of Oxnard?
correct.
Okay, well, I happen to know that Dr. Fussell is because he lives down the street from a couple blocks away. Anyway.
Okay.
Anna, did you have more to add?
Yes, thank you. To just add a little clarification, it would need to be an agendized item for a vote on the public member and the alternate public member. That would normally happen at the conclusion of the public member's term. So what would need to be done if that is the will of the authority members is to identify the period where Mr. Calhoun's term is going to expire, and that would be the appropriate time to put it on an agenda and bring it for a vote.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have, moving to the nominations for vice chair?
I would nominate Carmen Ramirez, Supervisor Ramirez as vice chair.
Is that the rotation, the usual rotation?
Any other nominations? Hearing none. I make motion to close the meeting, to close the nominations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perrello,
Yes.
Eugene Fussell.
yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
All right, we're going to move on to item C, Cameron Oxnard Airport Authority, review and approval of the 2021 meeting calendar.
I move to approve.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
Charlotte, I have a question.
Go ahead.
On November, it meets at 5 p.m. instead of 7. Why is that?
This is Anna. Your normal authority meeting, the second Thursday in November, falls on November 11th, which is, off the top of my head, I believe it's the Veterans Day holiday.
Yes.
Right.
And so we are trying on that day, and actually the 2 other days for the commission members, the other conflicts you see on that calendar, we're trying to merge the meetings into one day. The commission meeting and the
So
authority meeting.
the November meeting would be on the 1st instead of the 11th. But my question was not to change a day, that I got, but why moving it to 5 o'clock?
On that day, the commission meeting, the Aviation Advisory Commission, meets at 7 p.m. And so that time would be unavailable for your authority to meet.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the question.
It's still, I still motion as recommended.
I'll second it if
Supervisor
there's no.
Long, motion, second. I'll second. We'll take a roll call vote.
For Camarillo Airport Authority, Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Mayor Craven,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Molche,
Yes.
Bill Thomas.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Do we need to vote for the Oxnard calendar as well? Because I will motion for that if needed.
Okay, I'll second that motion if we need it. Okay.
Supervisor Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perallo,
Yes.
Eugene Fussell.
yes,
That motion passes unanimously.
Next item pertains to Oxnard Airport Authority, so I'll pass it over to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Oxnard Airport Authority, D, subject, authorization for the Director of Airports to provide rent relief for up to 4 months to airfield tenants impacted by the 2021 runway reconstruction project at Oxnard Airport in the not-to-exceed amount of $356,945. The recommendation is the staff requests that your commission/authority recommend that the Board of Supervisors authorize the Director of Airports to provide rent relief for up to 4 months to airfield tenants impacted by the 2021 runway reconstruction project at Oxnard Airport in the not-to-exceed amount of $356,945. Do we have a presentation, and who will make the presentation?
Oh, Mr. Pillow, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to introduce Aaron Powers, our projects administrator, to give you the meat and potatoes. But just to set the table really quickly, we've got an upcoming project next year that's going to be disruptive to the tenants, commercial and private tenants at Oxnard Airport, and part of our listening. In public meetings that we've received interest in having staff and by extension authorities, commissions, and supervisors to consider rent relief for those that are impacted by that. So that's setting the table really briefly, but I'm going to introduce Aaron Powers, who's going to walk us through the rest of the details, and both of us can provide questions, answers to questions for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Chair, authority members, as mentioned for this request, I want to start with just a little bit of background. In June of 2020, this authority and the Board of Supervisors authorized a final design contract for the reconstruction work that is planned for Oxnard Airport for the runway, taxiway connectors, and possibly taxiway Foxtrot. As part of the design contract, we built in several public workshops. 2 of those public workshops have been held to explore construction phasing alternatives, and the workshops have led the design to focus on a full runway and taxiway closure instead of a limited availability option. While the full runway closure option ultimately provides the safest, most efficient, and cost-effective approach, it doesn't really allow tenants or businesses to utilize the runway as it is a single runway airport for the duration of the project. And the construction phase is anticipated to take approximately 3 to 4 months. So we are looking at a project that could impact operations significantly for up to 4 months. Therefore, staff is requesting that the Board of Supervisors allow the Department of Airports to offer rent relief for up to 4 months for our airfield tenants, both commercial and private, that are impacted by the runway closure, in a not to exceed amount of just under $357,000. And that figure represents the maximum anticipated revenue that the airport would expect in a 4-month period, plus a small 10% contingency to make sure that we've captured those revenue resources. I do want to just note that rent relief, we're very excited to be able to offer this, but it is not something that's offered lightly or for most projects. We often have projects that on the airfield that impact operations. And what distinguishes this project from most of our others is really the duration of the closure, some of the limited options available to our tenants. And with that, I'd like to just really close with offering up that the airport has adequate cash reserves to absorb the anticipated loss of revenue at this time. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Karen, this is Kelly Long. Hi. I have a question for you. Very familiar with project management, and my ears perked up when you had said 3 to 4 months. If this project, based on things that we cannot control, goes longer than that, what would the steps be to make sure that we're providing adequate relief for these tenants that aren't able to use this runway?
Well, you know, we are, our estimate, of course, includes some, you know, a small built-in cushion to allow for some contingency and schedule. You know, ideally, we would be able to wrap up everything either on time or earlier. And that is our, you know, that is what we will strive to do. If we, at this time, we wouldn't expect, based on the schedule and that's being put forth, and the fact that we are being, you know, we're going to be able to have some efficiencies because we're closing the airport down, or I'm sorry, that's an incorrect statement. We are closing the runway down because the airport actually will still be open to some operations like helicopters for a significant period of time. So, and we do also have an aggressive schedule as part of this. Of course, you can't, you know, there is the possibility of delays, and we would have to look at it this time. We are looking only to provide relief for an up to a 4-month period, which is significant for us.
Okay, so there's no plans to extend it. The reason why I'm asking is it has to be approved here at the authority and then move to the Board of Supervisors, from what I understand, because of budgeting. So then if that's the case, I would like to make sure that our board is presented with an update, maybe at 2 months, or, you know, every time we meet, to have an update on this, because it is going to be a huge factor for those pilots in the Oxnard Airport.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll make a note of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah,
I do.
Go ahead.
Bill Thomas, I was going to ask 2 things. One of them is there a portion of the contract that either gives a bonus or penalties for early/late performance?
So this is a project that is significantly funded, or we're hoping will be significantly funded by a federal grant. Those grants don't allow for bonuses, but we will be building in liquidated damages, which will be a penalty for each day that the runway remains closed beyond the project schedule. So there is an incentive financially, certainly, to get it done on time.
And I would like to expand on Supervisor Long's request. I would like to have a monthly update, not just halfway. Just as part of our airport authority meetings, I think that should be part of the discussion every month.
Sure, and I do want to mention that, but we will be planning to bring in the future a construction management services contract for the construction portion of the project. And in that contract, we anticipate having sort of a robust social media and available platform for tenants to be able to access updates at any time that the schedule does change. So we're going to put the information out there and make sure it is available.
Couple questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. I'm not familiar with the rents charged to the tenants. I assume they're not all one standard rate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So this amount of $356,945 takes into account the actual rent for the different spaces, the different hangars?
Yes. So our fiscal manager did provide this figure based on sort of a year-to-year, a full year of revenue received for the airfield tenants that we expected would qualify for rent relief, which is most.
Okay, and it is possible it'll rain and delay construction. I assume that's figured into your calculations, correct?
It is to a certain extent. We are taking this project right now. The FAA we are on track to take this out to follow FAA bidding timeframes, which would mean that we would take this out to bid in March, and we would be able to receive a grant in May, and we would hope to begin this in June. However, our funding for this project really is dependent on a grant, because depending on how many alternatives, we have a base bid and 2 alternatives. If depending on the money available and the timing of the grant, the FAA can, may have a grant become available as early as April, but maybe as late as September. So if we get pushed into September, we may have to seriously consider whether we move forward into the potential of the rainy months, or whether we would look at an alternate schedule, which would put us into 2022. But that is something that we're in talks with the FAA, because the schedule will be important, and we don't want to begin a project if we can help it in the middle of the rainy season, even if this season's been dry, but we don't anticipate that's not how we want to plan our projects.
Thank you. Very smart.
Absolutely.
Any more questions? I have a question, Ms. Powers. With respect to the request that Mr. Thomas made, it seems reasonable to me, about a monthly, and it should be something that we can get a response back to percentage of completion. That I'd like to support his request. But the other one is, it's mentioned that the helicopters will still be operating. My understanding is the firm that owns the helicopters also has fixed wing aircraft. How is the rent reduction, how is it determined with the firm that has both types of planes?
Well, they have, they do have a couple businesses or business activities on the airfield. And, and I apologize, speak to this particular issue, how that's broken down, but it is something that I would leave to our fiscal team and our director to be able to work out with the tenant.
So before I vote on this, I can feel that it's been done appropriately, broken down?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions by board members?
Hey, Bert, before we start, I'm sorry, Dr. Fussell, is there a report from the Aviation Commission involved in this?
I don't know. There's not one attached.
Well, I was asking the Department of the Airports.
Okay.
Did the Aviation advisory commission vote on this if there isn't a representative here?
Member Thomas, yeah, they did vote on it. They considered it. They had a number of questions as well, but they ended up voting it through to recommend to the supervisors.
Is that,
I just wanted to say, I think we ought to commend the Department of Airports because they have been silent on this issue, and a lot of the airport tenants were really concerned. So I think this will be a real boon that they could do this rent relief, because heretofore there was a real question of whether it could be done and whether it would be done. So I think if we vote on this, it will be a very positive thing to the airport tenants.
would that be in the form of motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second the
set-
motion.
Roll call, please.
Supervisor Long,
Yes, please.
Supervisor Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perallo,
Yes.
Eugene Fussell.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Down to director's report. Dave, are you taking this one?
I got it. Kip sends his regrets and his apologies for not being able to provide this report in person. I have his notes, and they're good ones. And we've got a number of things to cover. But first, I'd like to congratulate the new chair and vice chair for each authority. And we look forward to working with you as staff. And I know Kip is very involved, and in his absence, I would too. So congratulations, and we look forward to that. So in terms of the director's report, I've got 5 things to go over quickly. First one would be the hangar lease. We've had this topic a number of times over the prior months, and we're getting ready to put a new draft of this lease proposed in front of the bodies in March. So starting in March 1st with the advisory committee. And then through to the authorities, and then on to the Board of Supervisors. So that all would be taking place during March. So we're hoping to reach resolution on that. The Northeast hangar development, the new hangars that are being built, we've had prior reports that that project would be wrapping up by the middle of January. And we're very close. So the middle to the end of January is still the goal, and it's really just day to day when they're going to toss us the keys. So we're looking forward to having that resolved. We're also looking to put out new waitlist protocols for how we're going to fill those hangars. And I'm hearing some background, but I think we can plow through that. So yeah, staff is still developing waitlist protocols for how those hangars are going to be filled, but we'll have further reports on what that would be in the next meetings. The master plan update, we've had prior communication about that. COVID, like it has done lots of things, has slowed down our ability to have a public process in the way we would envision it to be the most effective. I think COVID has also shown us that we can do things at a distance and that are equally, or in some cases, more effective. But it still has caused us to tap the brakes on that. But we're hoping to get something either in an in-person or blended, more likely blended way by the time we come to April or so. But the contracts are up and running, and the consultants are working on the preliminary things that we can do prior to getting into the public process portion of that work. The runway taxiway reconstruction project that we've been talking about, we've had 2 public workshops held already. The third one is in the scope, and we had talked in prior meetings about that would happen in the February timeframe. But staff was recommending that that last public workshop be held closer to the initiation of construction. So that would be more the summer timeframe when it becomes clear that we're going to have the FAA funding in hand and that the construction is imminent. That way we can push out the best information possible in terms of what we can expect and have an exchange with the public about what their concerns are at that time as well. And then the fifth thing I wanted to talk about was that we're going to be, staff is going to be getting away from paper packets for what we put out there with the agenda and all the backup information that goes with that. It takes quite a lot of staff time, and we're estimating somewhere between 4 and 10 reams of paper, depending on the length of the agenda and the attachments that go with it. And so we're looking to go paperless on that. I'm going to tear off something out of the green book and say that we can do things distributed electronically, and we're able to support that with iPads at the meetings, so we can hand those out, and members can have the ability to go through the paperwork, to look at the exhibits on their iPads as well. So we would have a small number of just paper agendas for use, but the entire packet we would getting away from doing the big tree cutting operation for that. And we're also looking to bring on online our ability to host these meetings away from the Camarillo City Hall venue, and bring that to the Oxnard Airport Terminal. And as Kip mentioned in the prior month, we've been dressing up the Oxnard Terminal and getting that ready for the ability to hold public meetings there, workshops, what have you, and turn that into a more of a multi-use type of facility. So nice paint job, and we've taken out some of the shabbier consoles where the ticket counters used to be. Really cleaned up the baggage claim area, put a nice conference table in there. So we're going to have the ability to actually host these meetings, especially when we're doing these over Zoom from that venue. So we've made that investment in the technology to do that, and so I believe next month we're going to be still in Camarillo, and then probably in March, maybe April, we'll be changing that venue over to the Oxnard terminal. So we look forward to showing that venue off and having those meetings there, and perhaps we're going to be getting closer to being able to do these kinds of meetings face to face. So, and with that concludes the director's report. Any questions?
I have two questions for you, Dave. One of them is on your North Hangar complex. When next month on page 8A is the breakout of the number of hangars that are public, private, if it would be possible to, when you get the hangars ready to start to do a tally, could you do two counting lines, one of them old hangars and one of them new hangars, so that we can sort of see how that's coming?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, there's 41 units, and we would expect that they're going to get filled up pretty quickly. Right. But
and then I'm not sure if there was any correspondence in this month's package, but I couldn't find any. So if you do an electronic version, it would be good to have the correspondence included in there, because I thought I saw some listed, but it might have been last month's.
Okay, well, staff will look into that. I didn't see it in my packet either. So
can I just add something? I really would appreciate. I was an alternate to the Oxnard Authority for many years, but it wasn't needed for me to come to the meetings, but I had piles of agendas. And just as when I first got on Oxnard City Council, we didn't do anything electronically. At the end of my first year, I had, I think I had 6 feet of paper, and it's just so wasteful. especially now when we have the technology. I totally support this. Thank you.
Good, good. Glad to hear it. We're excited about it.
Dave, I got a question for you. I'm not too familiar with the Oxnard terminal. How many people can that hold? Is it your plan to, once we resume in-person meetings, provided coronavirus at some point goes away, will meetings continue to be held in the Oxnard terminal?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great question. So prior to COVID, I would have thought you could get a couple hundred people in there, in a cocktail kind of environment where you don't mind being close. In a situation where you're trying to keep 6 feet from everybody, it goes way down. So I would say a public meeting held there, like a workshop held there in person without the ability to if it was just going to be all in person, I would think that we are down in the 30 to 40 people range. So, and if you had staff and consultants there and boards and those kinds of things, not a lot. So I think we're still looking at having to supplement that, and actually wanting to supplement that with an electronic type of presentation that's available online. It's really the future, and we should embrace that.
Am I understanding correctly that these meetings will be moved to the Oxnard terminal moving forward?
I believe next month, and Anna, if you have different, that I thought I heard that next month was going to be still in Camarillo, but that maybe March or April we would be standing up. And trying to do that ongoing, and being independent from having to be within the technological confines of the Camarillo City Hall complex.
Okay, but we can, if meetings are after coronavirus, if meetings will be held at the Oxnard terminal, I just want to make sure, because this authority, when we're dealing with certain issues, there's a lot of people like to come out. I want to make sure the Oxnard terminal can accommodate post-COVID a large number of people.
Yeah, my sense, and this is partly because it's a fairly large lobby, and the tenants in there currently are two rental car agencies, and they go home around 5 to 6 o'clock. So if we had an evening meeting starting at 7, we've got the place to ourselves. Post-COVID, if we can bunch up a little bit, I think our capacity would be pretty similar. Maybe a little bit less because we don't have all that nice seating. But when we have a combination of who can be sat at the nice airline type seating rows there, and fill that in with some card table chairs and some standing, then yeah, I think if for a formal presentation where people are going to be looking at one presenter, we could get pretty close.
Thanks. Were there any other questions? If not, we'll just move on to reports. See if anyone had any questions or comments in regards to reports. I'm going to take the deafening silence as a no. Do authority members have any comments?
I would just say, go ahead, Bert.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was still muted. I apologize. I wanted to comment on the issue of the Oxnard lobby. It's been broached in the past. Possibly we could have a meeting in the Oxnard City Council if need be, and with post-COVID. And I'm sure we can accommodate as many as you can in Camarillo. It's not as nice a facility, but there would be the opportunity. Those are my only comments on that matter. Thank you, Councilman Long. And I again apologize I didn't have the mute off. But now we're on the reports. I do have a question on the noise complaints. If I can go back to that part, please.
Okay.
Okay, on the noise complaints. As a councilman that represents people along the ocean, I get letters complaining that I'm not controlling the airplanes. And the general manager has explained to me what the rules are. In the future, I hope that we can have some sort of a real quick, some would say quick and dirty, but an explanation. The rules of the road are when you're a pilot, you're supposed to get up to a certain height. You're supposed to go so far out. You make a turn so far out, whatever the rules are, because there are people in the community, I'm sure that Camarillo must have some like that think that a councilman can snap his fingers and make the planes do what they want. And I've been the general manager has informed me what the rules of the road are, and it's obvious a councilman's not going to snap his fingers and make things happen. So I hope that we can do that, because we're still getting noise complaints from Oxnard, and I'll share the letters if people want them. Those are my comments. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Authority comments, I was just going to say Happy New Year's, everyone. I'm proud to serve the authority again this year as chair. So make sure you bring any comments and suggestions for meetings. Really appreciate it. We have some good things going on at the airports, and hopefully we'll be able to get out of this COVID safely and back to normal where we can actually see each other. So thank you.
Sean, I would like to address under authority comments.
Go ahead.
Okay, there had been earlier when I brought up the issue of the alternate member, the public member, and it was addressed that we could have a clarification, but it would take some board action. I'd like that on the agenda going forward. And I would also like to say that I am very appreciative that this board took the action they did with the rent relief, because I remember the first time that anything like that came up, I believe I brought it up, and I thought I could hear the air leave the room. And so I'm very grateful the county has gone this way and that the board has approved it. Those are my comments. Thank you very much. And please be safe, people. This is serious what's going on. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will echo those comments, and I do want to welcome Supervisor Ramirez. She's a new face amongst all of us. So congratulations on your election, and welcome to the Airport Authority.
Thank you very much, and same to you. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm hoping we have a better year, and please stay safe. I will tell you that at this moment, one of my brothers is in the hospital with COVID, and it was touch and go for a while, and he seems to be recovering. So it, makes it real.
Yeah.
Not just a number.
Right.
Thanks.
Ooh.
All right, any other comments?
For Oxnard, do you know yet who the other city council member for the authority is going to be?
No, we do not.
Okay.
All right.
All right. With nothing else, we'll adjourn.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Good
fabulous
night,
night.
everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Good
Good night.
evening.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.